Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the TEW WWE Challenge Run. This is going to be Monday Night Raw for week 3 of August 2020. And for the first time, let's not jump right into the show, because I actually have something I want to say. I think this is the first one of these I'm doing since I actually hit... Well, it's definitely not. It's the first one since I've remembered. I've hit the big 150 subs. And I kind of want to do something different for it, instead of just smashing out episodes of this. And obviously I'll keep smashing episodes out of this, because I'm probably into it right now. But I just wondered, if there's anything else that you would possibly want for 150 subs. Maybe, I'll start a new series or whatever. Or whatever you can think of. If you can think of anything cool you'd like me to do, just let me know in the comments. And... also, I'll leave a link in the description to episode 1 of, one of my friends in Discord, Mathis, has started an AEW TEW save, and obviously because we're all in Reawakened Discord together, and we all banter together, I'm going to try and plug it, to try and just get him that nice little boost to start with, so if that does interest you, so do go check him out. And, yeah, join Reawakened Discord if you want to banter with us, and maybe get your series plugged by the world famous Connell TW. I kid. But yeah, so mainly 150 subs. Anything I want to do, anything you want me to do for it, do let me know. And if not, we'll just jump straight into the show. I won't beg, break, I'm going away. Every moment's one more chance to stand up or get in the Edge is the man who opens the show this week. Back from his RKO he took at Great Balls of Fire. He says he should have expected something like that from Randy Orton at Great Balls of Fire. And after all this time, even after everything that Randy said to him earlier on in this year, joining Seth Rollins made Edge lose that last bit of respect that he still had for his once friend and legend of the business, Randy Orton, because he honestly expected better from him. That's when Seth Rollins comes out. He's flanked only by Randy Orton and Damian Priest. And he tells Edge, he's like, look at me, Edge. This isn't about Randy. Randy's only a part player in the greater good. Seth is the real face. And Seth is the one that, at SummerSlam, will put Edge out to pasture. Not just for the greater good, but for his greater good. Edge says that he thought the great Randy Orton was better than being someone's lackey. But here he is, just happily being told he's a part player, and he's just sitting there, not doing anything, he's just being a dickhead. He honestly thought he was better than that. But if there's a match at SummerSlam that Seth wants, then at SummerSlam, it will be Seth Rollins versus Edge. And Seth's like, you made the right choice, Edge. And then him, Priest, and Randy leave. And then he sort of stops halfway up the ramp. And he starts, he's facing, his back's to Edge, but the camera's on his face, so he can see him start smiling. But Edge can't, of course. And that's when he's jumped behind by Johnny Gargano, Murphy, and Akam. And the three of them attack Edge. And then the Street Profits and Rey Mysterio come out from the back, who have also had their issues with the church in recent weeks. They come out the gorilla, they charge to try and make the save to the ring, but obviously Priest, Orton, and Seth are still on the stage, so they cut them off and fault their attack, leaving Edge in the ring alone. And Seth he pats Randy on the head. He's like, go, put him out, put him down again. So Orton turns around, slithers into the ring, and lays Edge out with an RKO. So yeah, Seth Rollins and Edge at SummerSlam, which is the match they probably should have and maybe would have done in real life. But Edge got injured, so rip. But it's happening here, because it was I had my heart set on it happening at SummerSlam in real life, so may as well do it in the game too. 57 rating tag team match. The champions, Shelton and Apollo, defeat the Peak of Physique. Shelton pins Tony Nese. He gets a 56, 58 for Apollo, 34 for Riddick Moss, and 44 for Tony Nese. That's when MVP gets into the ring after that match. He cuts a promo. He says last week he was ambushed by some idiot in a dinosaur mask. But that's by the by, as no one will remember that when VIP Nation keep their Raw Tag Team titles, and the almighty Bobby Lashley he wins the United States Championship. Because he's more of a man than that fat slob Kevin Owens. Then Kevin Owens' music comes out, and then out comes some fat man in Kevin Owens cosplay. Lashley lays him out, and then they have a match. Lashley beats the fake Kevin Owens in 2 minutes with a full Nelson. Fake Kev gets a 24-69 for Bobby Lashley. 8-1. Kevin Owens' music hits again after the match, and then the real Kevin Owens comes out. Owens says he gets it. Lashley is the super ripped MMA badass, while Owens is just your average looking white dad. But that's the thing. No amount of abs can accommodate for the size of Kevin's fighting spirit. So if you think this will be a walk in the park at SummerSlam, then Bobby, you clearly don't know Kevin Owens. And he drops Bobby Lashley with a stunner right then and there, as the rest of VIP Nation check on him. Then the fake Kevin Owens gets up, he's like, "Hi Kev," and he gets dropped with a stunner as well, before Kev takes his title and strolls up the back. After the Dragon interview, Charlie asks them about Luchasaurus and what he wants here in WWE. Carrillo says that Luchasaurus embodies the spirit which burns inside himself and Tozawa, and he came to WWE to prove there is no one fiercer than him in the entire company. Big Show then sort of appears behind Luchasaurus, and they sort of turn around and they lock eyes, because having two big meaty men lock eyes will always get a pop from the crowd. Of course, Big Show is flanked by Ricochet and Alexander. Ricochet and Alexander are really quite a pair. No, there's literally no human on earth that's going to understand that reference. Okay, moving on. They congratulate Path of the Dragon on Luchasaurus' win last week, but they challenge them, being Carrillo and Tozawa, to a match tonight, to prove they can win without the need of Big Show, instead of relying on him, like they did when Luchasaurus beat MVP last week. R-Truth is backstage, and the Iconics come up to him. They're sort of like, "Truth, we're a big fan. We think you're really iconic, just like us. You could probably be the third Iconic if you really wanted to." And R-Truth's like, "Oh, he practices his iconic pose. He does the big iconic pose. He sort of has his eyes shut." Peyton's behind him, and she reveals she's got a referee shirt on. And Billie Kay rolls up R-Truth to win the 24/7 title. And she screams, "Yeah!" And they hug and run off, and R-Truth just sits on the floor like, "What? You gotta be joking me." 39. Sugar Rush defeated Nia and Natty. Xia Brookside pinned Natalya. Finally, Nia is actually the lowest rated in this match. But then after the match, they're celebrating when onto the stage walks Robert Stone, flanked by his clients Aaliyah and Brandy Lauren. And he congratulates Sugar Rush on their win, but tells them not to get too cocky, because next week, they'll be part of history. They'll go down as the answer to a bizarre trivia question. Who did the world-famous Robert Stone brand defeat on their first night of their legendary careers on Monday Night Raw? See you next week, girls. So this is debut match for the Robert Stone brand next week against Sugar Rush. And yeah, should be a hoot. But I guess this is the sort of situation I was left in with real life, because there is one actual physical women's tag team in real life left, because they broke the rest of them up. So, like, I had to try and make a lot. So it will be teams like Xia Brookside and Candy Floss, and then Aaliyah and Brandy Lauren. Like, these teams that I test out on main event, they have excellent chemistry. So I'm like, okay, well, they could work in the division. That's why we've got them. We've got these here. So, because I need to actually establish a division. So they're obviously all going to start as unimportant, but hopefully over time it will become on par with the men's tag division, which, again, in real life is not saying much, because there's literally an episode of Raw coming up where two of the teams in the triple threat match had broken up, and the other one have never even teamed before. But I like to think my tag division is slightly better than that, because we've got like 6 or 7 teams on Raw. Anyway, I said anyway. Speaking of tag teams, Cedric and Ricochet defeat Path of the Dragon in 12 minutes in a 63 rated match, which is actually really good for the people in it. Ricochet pins Humberto with the 630. He gets a 70. 48 for Cedric, 51 for Carrillo, 52 for Akira. After the match, Cedric and Ricochet shake hands with Path of the Dragon, but they're jumped by Aussie Might, including Bronson Reed, but I couldn't put him on the screen because we need a certain number of people, because Apollo and Shelton also come out when they join in the attack. Then things get heated before Joe steps up from the announce table, and he announces that at SummerSlam, these four will face each other in a fatal 4-way tag team match. So that is the Raw tag team title match confirmed. We are going to showcase our budding tag team division here on Raw, with these four teams going at it at SummerSlam. The Iconics are backstage. Billy's walking around going, "Oh, look at this, I'm the most iconic champion. Hey, Charlie, do you want to come and interview the most iconic 24/7 champion of all time? I'm Billy Kay, I'm the most iconic champion ever." And then Peyton sort of gets this smile on her face. Billy can't see it. She pulls a referee aside, she rolls Billy up, she wins the 24/7 title. And then she starts celebrating and goes, I'm also the most iconic champion of all time. And Billy is sat on the floor like, "What, Peyton? You gotta be joking me." And then Peyton runs off and Billy chases after her going, Peyton, you gotta be joking me." Angel Garza cuts a promo. 72 is actually pretty good for him. He says that he now knows that Zelina was the one holding him back this whole time. He says that she was using him as a pawn to get the WWE title on Andrade, and never actually cared about him. That will be her mistake, because he accepts her challenge. He will see Andrade at SummerSlam. Then Zelina and her boys come out, and she says that Garza is a fool, and without her, he'd still be a nobody. And maybe after SummerSlam, people will realise that is what he will stay when Andrade puts him down. Escobar then gets into the ring and he jumps Garza because they've got a match coming up next, which gets a 62. Garza beats Santos Escobar with a wing clipper in 11 minutes. He gets a 58, Escobar 48. 62 is a good rating, given these two individual ratings down here, so that's fine. Here we go, baby. Samoa Joe. He comes to the ring. He said the last few weeks have been a nightmare in regards to the Raw Women's Championship, and he has come to a solution in regards to SummerSlam. He calls the champion to the ring, and out she comes, Shayna Baszler, of course. He tells Shayna that she is the champion, and she will defend that title like SummerSlam against Charlotte Flair. Then Charlotte comes out, and she goes to speak, but the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi, cut her off. They say Asuka has the title, and Kairi pinned Shayna 2 weeks ago, so surely they should also be in this match. Ruby Riott comes out, and says if it wasn't for her, Kairi wouldn't have won that match because she was the distraction when she took the title, and that was what led Kairi to roll up Shayna. So she should get the title shot if Kairi gets one, because Kairi wouldn't be there without her. Then Liv Morgan comes out and she's like, Ruby doesn't deserve that shot. She stole the title. That's not honourable. That's a scumbag move from my old friend. She's a piece of shit. Women shout at each other, and then Joe sort of screams, "Enough!" over the top of them all screaming. He says that this will be settled at SummerSlam. It'll be a 6-pack challenge. Baszler, Flair, Riott, Morgan, Sane, and Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. So there we have it. This will all be settled at SummerSlam. Ruby got backstage first. So she probably shouldn't be in this segment then, but what it is the Street Profits being checked on after they got attacked in the opening segment. Rey Mysterio is facing Randy Orton in the main event, so he's obviously been cleared, so now we've got to check on Tez and Angelo. And of course Bianca's there, because she's Montez Ford's husband. She's like, well, how is he? That's when Gargano and Candice come up to her, start mocking her, just being a general dickhead. And then Candice is like, well, it's quite clear that my man's more of a man than your man. And then Bianca's like, sis, what, bitch? Your man took a cheap shot on my man, but I'm going to kick your ass fair and square, love. We then come back. Like, we had the Joe segment, then it would have cut away to that segment back in the backstage there. And then when we cut back, all the women have left the ring, and it's just Joe walking up the ramp to return to the announce desk when he's jumped by Brock Lesnar. Brock assaults him on the ramp. He grabs a steel chair and lays into Joe with chair shots. He picks Joe up and gives him an F5 through the announce table. Then security come out and escort him away as he just sits there laughing at the chaos he caused, putting the Raw GM through the table. Billy catches up to Peyton. She's like, Peyton, what the fuck, mate? You gotta be joking me. And Peyton's like, listen here, mate, I wanted to get my title. Why should you be the only person who could be the most iconic champion of all time? And then they just argue, and R-Truth sneaks up behind Peyton with a referee, rolls her up to win back his baby. And then Billy and Peyton just look at each other like, well, we're dumb. Jacob Fatu squashes 3 jobbers. in 3 minutes. He gets a 48, the jobbers get a 13, 29, and 19. After the match, Larnus can't get promo when Oney's here, and he's come to kick ass and throw him up. He's throwing him up on his march to the ring. He's not intimidated by Jacob Fatu at all. He gets into the ring, he gives him a couple of uppercuts, but he's overwhelmed. He gets taken out by a big kick, and then laid out with a Samoan drop or something. And then Lana laughs and leaves with Jacob Fatu, but as they're halfway up the ramp, Oney's getting to his feet. He's calling Fatu one for more. And then Jacob Fatu gets into the ring and lays him out with another Samoan drop. And then leaves the ring again. And Oney still struggles to his feet. He's getting all fired up as we fade to black. So Oney not staying down, even though the big Samoan has laid a beating on him here tonight. The heart of Oney is badass. Throw them all the way up.
Can't you see how your love's affecting our reality? Every time we're down, you can make it right, and that makes you larger than life. Can't you see how your love's affecting our reality? Every time we're down.
87 rating for a sit-down interview Charlie Caruso does with AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre. AJ says he heard what Drew said about him last week, and he was flattered, but it's time to face reality. It's like, you're not going to beat me at SummerSlam, Drew, and deep down you know it. You finally reached the top of the mountain, 11 years after the opportunity was given to you. You know where I was 11 years ago, Drew? I was still grinding, probably 11 years deep into my career, for the opportunity that you were wasting here in WWE. 11 years it took you to win that title. I got it done in my first 7 months. These are the levels between us, Drew. You're going to blow this just like you blew your shot the first time when you got fired. So enjoy this, because come SummerSlam, the phenomenal AJ Styles is going to put you in the ground. Ha ha ha, do you get it? Drew takes the mic, and he's like, are we just going to talk, or do you want to back your words up? And he stands up, and he's like, come on AJ then. And AJ's like, nah. We're not going to fight right now, I'll save the embarrassment for SummerSlam. So things getting a bit heated between the champion and challenger here tonight as the road to SummerSlam marches on. 54, Candice and Bianca have their match. Candice cheats to beat her because Ruby Riott comes out and distracts Bianca. 45 for Bianca, 53 for Candice. I didn't click the next. You shouldn't be on screen. Aleister Black promo from the Gothic Church. He says his patience is wearing thin, and that he now knows what he must do. He takes one of the candles on his little church, and he sets a light. He sets something alight with it. Camera follows the fire as the firelight sort of travels along, but it stops, and we see Undertaker's symbol burning on the wall. Call has been made. Black says, come here. Come to my yard and finish me. So we now know who these mysterious promos were aimed towards. And he's challenging Taker to come to his yard, being the church, of course. Not the Church of Rollins, just his own little church. There's a lot of churches on this show. The main event is a 74. Good old reliable match between two reliable wrestlers. Randy Orton defeats Rey Mysterio in 18 minutes with an RKO, because it just says Murphy, but probably more than just him from the Church of Rollins. Probably Murphy, Gargano, and Akam come out to distract Rey and help Randy win. 76 for Rey, 82 for Randy. Probably some sort of cool RKO spot to get the finish and end the show. Gets us an 81. The increased pop in 20 regions. I still haven't looked at this viewership in the other regions thing. It's annoying me now, and I should probably remember to do it. But of course, what's more important is what you thought of the show, so do let me know what you thought in the comments. And obviously, what I said at the start. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for episode 45, which will be SmackDown. See you then.